Hello everybody, and Jess here, and welcome to Dungeon Meshi Delicious in Dungeon, Episode 1. It's finally here, the long-awaited, at least by me, anime by Studio Trigger, and give me a moment. My cat always becomes proportionally needy to the amount reversely proportionally needy to the amount of attention I can actually give her. So forgive me that. Dungeon Meshi, as I said, anime that I waited for incredibly long, ever since I've seen the trailer for the manga that anime made. Great. That Studio Trigger made. I'm a huge fan of Studio Trigger, and I'm a huge fan of Dungeon Meshi. So I guess let's get that out of the way. Yes, I've read the manga. I'm not up to date with it, granted. I think I stopped reading it for no particular reason at all, just kind of stopped. Around the Cut Girl's appearance? Yeah, something around those lines. A couple of years ago. So I don't fully remember everything that's been happening in the manga, and I don't know any of the later events. So I have hope. That this reaction won't be just, just a formality where I know everything that's gonna happen every step of the way. Especially since I've heard, I can see it, that this anime is 24 episodes long. Double core. That's... I wanted to say that's a rarity, but it's not. Frieren is 24, Helk is 24, Shangri-La Frontier is 24, and I've seen or still watching them all. So in recent times, double core seasons seem to be a little bit on the rise, which is good, which is great. I'd rather they don't have to, squeeze everything tightly, and they can just take their time with the adaptation. Kind of makes me wonder how far is this adaptation going to go? I don't know. We'll see, I guess. We'll see. Anything else on the topic? I watched the trailer, so you can check it out. It might be linked somewhere in the corner. If not the trailer, then you will have the VOD of my seasonal stream linked, where I took a look at all of the winter 2024 anime, among them Dungeon Meshi, of course. Besides that, I guess that's it. I haven't seen any of the cast. I haven't seen any of the people working on it. I've just seen the trailer, and I've read the manga way back when. So I guess that about does it for the intro, right? If you're unfamiliar with the channel, if you're new here, if you came here just for Dungeon Meshi, you might not be familiar with the formula. First, after this intro is done, we're gonna go through the episode. I'm gonna watch it with the timer, and the subs, so you can follow along in your own, second window or second screen or whatever. Whatever is the most is the best for you. Then we're gonna go through the same episode again in this little translucent window, so that we can go through some scenes frame by frame. Maybe I can, maybe I have something more to say than the runtime of the episode would allow. So that's what we're gonna do. Then we're gonna take a look at the cast, at the people responsible for making this show. We're gonna take a look at the voice actors, their acting history, which other characters they played, and lastly, we're gonna have a summary of the episode, and that's where we're gonna end. So this video is probably gonna be over an hour long. Be prepared. Be prepared for that. Anything else? that needs mentioning? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think we're set. I think we can just stop talking and start watching, right? I'm gonna be using the Netflix release because this show releases on Netflix. Procure it at your own discretion, I'm just gonna say. I'm using the dual audio version, so you probably can figure out where I procured my own. Regardless, to watch this episode, you're gonna need your subs to follow along with me. I'm gonna need my sound to hear what's going on in the show. That's better. And I'm gonna have to ask you for support. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube down below, or not. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing and helps a lot. And with that, we can start watching episode 1 of Dungeon Meshi in 3, 2, 1, go. Netflix. We're getting an opening. Can I clean my glasses? No, probably not. Great music right off the bat. That's some really good music. Okay, so we're jumping straight into action. No opening. Yeah, it lowers your morale. It lowers your just plain strength. You should probably escape the dragon, to be honest. Almost a party wipe. Only thanks to his sister, they managed to escape. I appreciate them moving the subs up so that we can see Marcille better. Official resignation letters. But how are you gonna conquer the dungeon without proper equipment? Reminds me of the Xanth series. of books where there was a character who could actually be resurrected from, as long as a single cell of him remained, shred of bone, he could resurrect himself. You probably don't have the money for food like that. Or time, yes. Yeah, but you would have to compromise on the amount of people in the party. You were wiped by the dragon with a full party. What can you do alone? And Chilchuck probably wants to join as well, exactly. All this time in the manga, I thought it's hair on his hands, but it's mittens apparently. I mean, yeah, right? If animals are edible, why shouldn't the monsters be? Exactly. They have to get the nutrients from somewhere. Maybe not the zombies, though. Okay. You're just gonna have to be careful. Here's your first meal. I was hoping for a breakdance. In the manga, it actually looked like she's breakdancing, but hey, that's fine too. Here's the second ingredient. Probably tastes like crab. I mean, it basically is a large crayfish, isn't it? Yes. Yes, he has been. Especially this Medusa, right? A little bit. Zoop. Slice them up, chuck them into the pot. The whatchamacallit? Fibers go vertically, not horizontally. And also dissecting it gives you some additional knowledge about how to kill them. Okay. Is it true for, like, real world? Okay, maybe not. And maybe don't eat the chitin. That's a great voice for him. That's some good looking meat. He's a feet man. Vegetables, spices, salt. Random moss and vines. Yeah, I mean, it makes it a very, good soil for growing things. A slime. Hopefully it's not corrosive. Easy. Yeah. Knowing how to butcher those creatures also gives you an edge in fighting them. But everything is translucent, so you can't really see any of that. So slimes are basically jellyfish. Slime jerky. As prepared as they come. This looks like, what's it called? Konnyaku? Yeah, it looks like konnyaku. Couldn't have found a better match for the party. Just a reminder that it's a cooking show. That looks nice. Also, monsters have the benefit of being, like, big. So there's much more meat here than in a crayfish. I should have eaten breakfast before recording. Tempting, isn't it? Yep, slime konnyaku. Immediate reaction. Hmm. Yeah, food's secured. They didn't have to sell their gear. Dragon. Red dragon, no less. What a coincidence, I always wanted to eat one. So there is a chance. Green tea with what's it called? Fried rice, baked rice, the brown puffy rice. Of course, it's about food. Dragon is big. You can probably eat it in all sorts of different ways. Basement floor. The dungeon is simply bigger on the inside. Let's rest. Yep. Yep. Okay, so it seems like we're covering like 2 chapters per episode, something along those lines. 2, 3 chapters. I mean, what's it matter? Whether it's pudding made of hen eggs or cockatrice eggs, right? I mean, you need iron in your diet, right? Right. Pizza? No. Chinese? No. Except the choices are not between pizza and Chinese. Okay. So it's something that Laios' guide does not mention. I mean, fruit is fruit. Also, they don't just eat humans. Fair. Also, imagine how crazy things will go deeper down. Cue someone getting eaten. You're gonna get eaten. That's why. Or that, yeah. Yeah, he was talking specifically about the Brasilica, right? You need to cut the stem. Yep. uh, of course. Yep. Marcille is an amazing straight man for this show. That looks like bell peppers. Those are big seeds. A tart? Of course. I mean, how do you know? Yep. Fruit tart. Also, revenge for the plant trying to eat you. You can try to eat the plant now. Yeah, it is a little bit crumbly. They try to attract other animals with the fruit. She's into it. You're now one of his people. I really need to get myself a cast iron pan. At least not by the neck. Amazing view to sleep to. Dungeon Meshi. I would assume this is the opening. Or maybe not, maybe it's actually the ending. I don't know, who knows? We haven't seen anything at the beginning, so could be either. Probably ending, though. Interesting art. That's a really good. That's a really good music. Okay. Subtitle translation by Chulkin. And those are just gonna be dub credits, right? Right. I'm not interested in dubs, so I guess we can safely skip it and watch it again, as we always do. So, that was a really good episode. If you didn't get it yet, this show is the manga at least, but the show is based on manga, so this show will be much deeper than just eating monsters. If it wasn't clear from those little tidbits of lore, those tidbits of world building, it's great. It's great. Also, I really like how realistic it is that, you know, if you're hungry, you can't really fight well. You can't really do anything well. You can't focus on anything you're doing. So, of course, being hungry in the middle of a dungeon is going to be of a detriment to you. In general, this story, this world is surprisingly realistic, is what I'm trying to say. Also, I really like arts wise, I really like seeing those triggerisms, if that makes any sense, as a word in the show. Right? Like Marcille's face is a little bit angular here. Chilchuck has this reverse bean mouth. It's very reminiscent of Little Witch Academia, right? It's not like Kill la Kill levels of trigger, but it's very much Little Witch Academia levels of trigger at times, because for the most part, it doesn't really look that much like a trigger show, does it? It's actually something that I was wondering about when it was announced that Trigger is going to be making this anime. Are they going to stylize it in their own way? Are they going to triggerize it? But it seems like they were able to perfectly adapt to the art style of the manga. This is like the manga art. Pretty much every single frame. It's great. And yeah, sister sacrificed herself to. Well, sacrificed herself. She was eaten. Okay, she sacrificed herself to save Laios, and then through that sacrifice she was eaten, and while being eaten she also cast one last spell to teleport everybody out. Question, couldn't she have teleported herself out as well with this spell, or does dragon somehow prevent teleportation? I know, that's a good question, actually. That's a good question. Couldn't she have teleported herself as well? If she teleported the entire party. The entire... Yeah, I think the entire party. Yep. Yeah, I thought there was like 1 or 2 more people in the party than I thought, but no. I got confused a little. Why are you meowing? She's probably still in the dungeon. This is interesting. That the dragons digest so slowly that even if you get eaten by a dragon deep down, your party can realistically still go back to the dungeon, defeat the dragon this time, and actually save you. Right? It's interesting. And yeah, everything we had was lost in the dungeon. You essentially have to go to on a brand new whatchamacallit, roguelite run. Exploring costs money. Another very realistic thing. That you don't just grab a sword, grab your armor, and just bomb rush the dungeon. You need food, you need other supplies, you need fucking soap to not fall ill deep inside, you need medical supplies, you need all that jazz secured to be able to go there. I really like how surprisingly realistic of a depiction it is of actually delving into the dungeon. Have they ever revived someone from poop? Our empty stomachs may have been why we failed. Probably, yeah. And of course, Marcille, the gourmet, but not the monster gourmet, alas. Probably not the best idea to enter alone. Again, the whole party was wiped. Sure, Laios can avoid monsters on the lowest floors while he's alone. He can, it's easier to avoid confrontation, avoid fighting when you're alone versus when you're in a party. Sure. But don't forget you're gonna have to defeat the dragon. And that would be quite hard to do alone, wouldn't it? Also, another thing I wonder, wouldn't there be plenty of people interested in defeating the dragon if just for fame alone? If not for dragon treasure or dragon scales or other materials you can get from a dragon, couldn't you have recruited party members just on that premise alone? We're going to defeat a dragon. Who wants to defeat a dragon with us? I know. What? Ow. Ow. What do you want? This cat, I swear. Oh, and now you're walking away. Now you're walking away. I want to pick you up and you're walking away. I'll never understand her. And of course, Marcille wants to save Falin because she daisuke's Falin. You know how strong my magic is? Yep. Chilchuck also needs to, pick some locks here and there, for better or for worse, yes. They don't know what they're getting themselves into yet. And again, this is very logical. The flesh-eating monsters need to, subsist on something. What are they eating? Well, they are eating the herbivorous monsters. And if they are eating those herbivorous monsters, that means we probably can eat them as well. It makes perfect sense. I really like that this dungeon isn't, magical, but actually very grounded. Very often, a depiction of a dungeon is just, oh, monsters are there, and they are just there, and there isn't really any more thought put into it. How are those dire wolves surviving? I don't know. They just are. They're magical, so they just exist. They don't need to eat. Well, why are they attacking people then? Oh, because they are just aggressive. They're not hunting for food. They're just, I don't know, attacking. right? If you go this deep into what makes sense in a dungeon and what doesn't, most dungeons, in most anime, in most manga, don't make all that much sense, if you really think about it. Not so much is the case in Dungeon Meshi. It actually makes sense. It's an actual working ecosystem. Humans can eat in the dungeon too. Exactly. A lot of tasty looking things. I mean, the bunny looks a little tasty. The big moray looking fish, that looks tasty. The fruit, they seem to be a little bit rotten, but assuming they are not rotten, they might be tasty. Those birds, I mean, it's just poultry. Nothing here looks tasty, sure, true. And also, it's established that there are people who hunt monsters for food. Criminals, yeah, sure, but we know that it is possible to hunt monsters for food. It's possible to subsist of it. I really like how this party is kinda looks-wise mirroring Laios' party, except they have like worse gear. Bonk. When a magic character defeats a monster with strength-based attack, you know it's a weak monster. Also, one other thing that I really like about this show is that Laios' party isn't weak. They aren't just some upstarts starting in the dungeon. They are veterans. They managed to make it however deep into the dungeon, right? They were wiped by the dragon, sure, but they got to the dragon, right? And that strength is shown here. I mean, strength, it's a very basic monster, yeah, but there is a party. There are people for whom this little mushroom is actually a scary monster, right? And yet it's absolutely nothing for them. Again, very often dungeon exploration stories start from scratch, right? Someone just becomes an adventurer because they want to become an adventurer, or I guess most commonly they get superpowers for some godforsaken reason, and then they decide to delve into the dungeon, and they are brand new but can manage to make it to level 50 in a single stride because they're simply that strong. In this case, the strength actually feels earned. It actually feels like they've been going through this dungeon for however many times. They know what they're dealing with. They grew strong on their own merit. It's good. I really like it. Again, another way this story is grounded. Yeah, Marcille's breakdance. Also, I love how, come on, how Laios is keeping the guide somewhere in his neck guard, right? Kind of like the boob pocket that busty characters in anime often have, right? Pulling things from between their boobs. For Laios, it's his neck guard or whatever it's called. Meaty and mild taste. I mean, that sounds really nice. Where is Marcille's breakdance? I think it happened earlier. Yep. I mean, this is fine as well, but I was expecting a full-on breakdance sequence. That's actually what it looked like in the manga. Marcille just spinning on her head with her leg in the air. Yep. That's a form with a sword, right? Not keeping it on high guard or low guard or even doing the like fantasy thing with the sword being raised like that. No, just, oh boy, food. This is great. That, of course, there will be stops in the dungeon. Of course, whenever people have a breakthrough and go to conquer level 20 or whatever, and there is some space on level 20, some ruins where you could realistically start a little business selling things to people who also arrived by some miracle to level 20, of course you would do that. Of course it would be a place bustling with activity, with all sorts of shops, with all sorts of services, revival, healing, fixing armor. There would be a blacksmith, right? It's cool. It's really, really cool. There's not just a whole ecology about this dungeon, there's a whole economy as well. Right, now I'm unable to go through the episode. Or I can do this maybe. There we go. Okay, that works somewhat. It was once a whatchamacallit, cemetery, but it was turned into a nice little stop for adventurers. I actually had an idea for making a game kind of based on this idea, like a full-on multiplayer MMO game where you delve into a dungeon and every 20 floors or whatever there is actually a city or something like that, and people actually have to collectively discover floor 20 to unlock that city so that they are able to delve even deeper down. Enough pets? Enough pets, apparently. This show, this story, this manga would actually really make a really cool game, like a survival in a dungeon. You actually have to hunt monsters to survive, to fill your hunger bar and stuff like that. I don't know if there is something like that. Maybe there is. Someone probably made it on Roblox, let's be honest here. But I don't know, it's just it really would work well as a game. I believe this is actually based on the author's D&D session. I have some vague recollection of that being a thing. It's unclear whether a forbidden spell transformed terrestrial creatures or if they were summoned from the world of monsters. Yeah, there are those like tidbits and bits of world building and lore that really make this show so much more than it is on just the surface. This is how we catch it. It's easier than a crayfish. I mean, yeah, you just give it something to latch onto and then you pull it out. Easy. This is great. You've been looking for a chance to eat monsters for a while, haven't you? And this slow blush with his mouth completely obstructed by the guard. There are some amazing faces in the manga and some amazing faces in the show as well. I'm glad they're really keeping that. Yeah, I love monsters from their appearance and cries to their ecology, so I wanted to know how they taste. Yep, he very much feels like a psychopath. I loved her so much, I just had to eat her. In the literal sense, too. Clean water. And yeah, this is another really good side of preparing monsters for food. You get to learn about their whatchamacallit? About their physiology. Yeah, you get to learn about their physiology. Right? The fibers are going vertically, so slashing horizontally is gonna be hard. Slash vertically. Yeah? It might be easier. Scorpion's venom... Actually, let me Google that real quick. Is scorpion venom edible? Oh, soon after the scorpion dies, the scorpion poison becomes inert. There we go. Only a very limited number of studies on non-peptidic scorpion venom compounds have been reported. Only about 30 have venom that is toxic enough to be lethal. You can eat scorpions, don't worry about the poison. After they die, the poison becomes inert and harmless. Okay, so, hey, true to life. True to life indeed. Doesn't taste well, though. And Senshi makes an appearance. Cut off the pincers, head and legs. Yep, those are the best parts, just like any crustacean that you actually eat, like crab or... I mean, crayfish doesn't really have big legs, but the claws, for sure. Tail just tastes bad. The body has a lot of meat and not a huge digestive tract. Just a tiny little string. Mushroom, the bottom tastes bad, apparently. Yeah, the skin tastes bad, but the feet smell really nice, apparently. Pod is too small. Senshi, of course, has a wok of his own. Some root, some algae. And some slime. This is, again, really cool that, sure, slimes may look amorphous, and they often do, and they are very often, always pretty much portrayed as just a blob of goo, but they have to be alive somehow. And what do you know? They actually are alive somehow. They have innards. They have, I mean, all those things are untranslated. We're gonna have to wait for a fan translation, probably, fan sub, to actually see what all those say, but I'm assuming, like, brain, gonads, liver, shit like that. They're just simply translucent, so you don't see them, but they are here. And yeah, stomach is reversed because it latches onto something and digests it. Senses the breathing. The world building in the show, in the story, is just crazy. Citrus juice, wash it, dry it, and it's just cognac. It just looks legit like cognac. Some roots, some soy sauce, and this looks really, really good. Mushrooms that look like shiitake, different mushroom, like mushroom legs, some crab meat, essentially, what amounts to potatoes, what amounts to, I don't know, probably, this looks actually kind of like wasabi plant, but I guess in flavor it would be closer to nori, maybe. Nori, konnyaku, that's just a hot pot, almost like ramen, except the ingredients are much, much bigger. Yeah, this separates like, what's the fruit called? Breadfruit, I believe? Yeah, I think breadfruit also separates like that. Except every single section of it has a seed inside, if I'm not mistaken. Tastes really good, and of course, she wants to have a taste as well. And she really started to see the way of Dungeon Meshi. Senshi, Laios, Marcille, and Chilchuck. Yep, that's our main team. Dragon with red scales, they sleep a lot, they digest slowly, so chances are, if your sister, even if she's dead, her body should probably be in good enough of a shape to revive her. And Senshi, of course, joins us because he really wants to cook the dragon. Steak, burgers, maybe egg bowl. Is it okay to eat that? Probably. I mean, it's eaten your party member. It's only, it's only valid to exact revenge in the same exact way. Yep, spires of the Golden Castle. the deeper you go, the closer to the base of the castle you go. Dungeon is bigger on the inside, of course. We're eating monsters. Yeah, I mean, you've eaten monsters already and they were good, so why are you complaining? Bats, rats, we probably don't want a repeat of the 2020, so bats are out. Goblins, probably, you know, stringy and tough, probably not good eating. Walking armor, metal, you might make broth out of it, right? Maybe. Birds or tree fruits, and I don't remember this from the manga, but maybe it was there and I forgot. Maybe it's anime original. I don't know, but it's great. They're talking as if they've given her a choice between Chinese takeout and pizza, and she's like, I don't feel like either really. But no, the choice was between bats, goblins, and walking armor. Chilchuck is in on it though. Chilchuck got converted by Laios very quickly. There's no such thing as free lunch. And yeah, thankfully there are fruits. Alas, those are fruits of flesh-eating plants. And again, the ecology of the dungeon works, and the plants and the monsters and everything is really imaginative, but at the same time works. A plant that spits out some mucus and uses that, basically acts like a spider, right? Spits out the mucus, something touches the mucus and it latches onto it, just like a spider does. We don't have anything like that in real world, except, well, spiders, but the author thought of it and actually created a very unique plant. Someone would notice if a corpse rolled by here, unless that corpse was hidden inside of one of those big things, big plants, big flowers. Spera yeptumur fermus nexant aslam. Aslam, as she's preparing to slam it. But yeah, don't do that because you're gonna burn or blow up or whatever the fruit as well, and you're not gonna have anything to eat. Only take as much as you'll eat, yep. And yeah, Laios never said anything about this particular plant not digesting things. No, he was talking about the one that eats mice and rats. And also this one doesn't actually eat you. It just plants seeds in your skin. And again, the knowledge of how it works, of how it grows, really becomes useful in the dungeon. You cut the root and the whole plant just dies. Easy. Again, really shows the strength of the party. They aren't just random schmucks entering the dungeon for the first time. And also it shows the groundiness, how grounded this story is, how grounded this world is. In any other show of this kind, you would have them actually fight this plant, cutting off the limbs, cutting off the flowers, and eventually it would just wilt and die or whatever. No, not here. It's a plant. It grows from somewhere. Cut that somewhere, the plant dies. It's just a fucking plant, right? And yeah, Laios really likes monsters in more ways than one. Marcille breaks bones because it uses you for compost, and Shadowtail, yeah, it doesn't want to kill you, so, you know, it's immobilizing you. You cannot move, but it doesn't hurt. It's very gentle. Did it feel good? And we have probably one of the best Marcille faces. Also, I usually rag on an anime when they do a cheap zoom in where the quality just drops when they actually zoom into a frame instead of redrawing the frame to be in like actual proper quality for the size it's shown, or using vector graphics or whatever. this this low res zoom on Marcille's face is great. The fact that it's low res just adds to the funny factor. Cherry tomatoes, something that looks like maybe tomatillos, bell peppers, I don't know, okra, something like that. Big seeds. Someone I think, I have a vague recollection that someone actually started taking those recipes and like using real world counterparts and trying to make them, right? Like using bell pepper skins instead of this skin here, or using the like crawfish broth or shrimp broth or whatever instead of scorpion broth and stuff like that. I would have to look for it. Because I have only a vague recollection. I don't know if they just written out those recipes or did they actually make them. I don't know. And if it's just something that was born in my head and it's not actually a thing, then perhaps with the anime, someone's actually gonna do it. And yeah, poor Laios. His seeds were just burned by Marcille, who doesn't like monsters quite as much. That's a nice fluffy texture. Salt flavored, yeah, so it's salty. Sorry, savory, and not sweet and fruity. Despite using fruit. Although, I mean, there is fruit that you can eat in savory ways, right? Plantains, for one thing. Breadfruit would be another. Avocado. And pumpkin. I mean, technically tomatoes are fruit, cucumbers are fruit, but we kind of classify them as vegetables. Then again, pumpkin would also be classified as a vegetable, so None of the plants, 8 people are in it. And even if they were, what's it to you? You've already eaten algae growing in a cemetery. It's basically the same thing. And this is great. None of the plants that 8 people are in it, right? It wouldn't be good if they were in it. Shucks, no. No, they aren't. It actually would be even better with the man-eating plants, you know? Fresh and sweet, compact and rich. They get eaten by other animals, yes, and that's how they spread their seeds, for example, in animal excrement. That's how spicy, that's how chilies, right? Hot peppers came to be. They are hot. They contain capsaicin to be a deterrent to other animals, but birds don't have the receptors that capsaicin works on. So birds eat the hot peppers and then they shit out the seeds far away, so those peppers can spread far away. Instead of being eaten by a mice and spreading very closely, they evolved specifically to work with birds and humans, because we're fucking crazy like that to willingly eat capsaicin. I mean, to also willingly eat caffeine, to willingly eat alcohol, and all sorts of other things like that. Humans are space orcs. It's a long proven truth. And yeah, of course, animals want to eat those fruit. It's just bait. That's how it works. I wonder if this sweetness is one of the tricks then. Yeah, she's slowly getting converted. It brings a tear to my eye. Another follower of the dungeon Meshi wrote, I really need to get myself a cast iron skillet. Yeah. I've actually seen a fairly cheap cast iron pan recently, but it's covered with, on the outside, with like a lacquer of some sort, and it's only suitable for temperatures of up to like 250 degrees Celsius. And I'm not sure what temperatures I'm usually using. I usually just use the biggest burner on the stove, and that's why I just can't use non-stick pans, because they have fairly low temperature tolerances, and I really don't want to eat or smell burnt Teflon. Although Teflon isn't used nowadays in pans, it's been banned in the EU, I believe, but I mean, even if it's a ceramic coating, I really don't suppose it's good for you to heat it up and inhale the vapor. Cast iron, though, I mean, shit, it's just iron. But cast iron pans are really fucking expensive. Even just plain steel pans are also incredibly fucking expensive, and I have no clue why. A plain steel pan is more expensive than a fancy aluminium cast pan with ceramic coating and detachable hand and shit like that. I have no clue why. Is aluminium plus non-stick coating really that much cheaper than just a sheath of steel? Ah. Wanna revive him? No, because it might not succeed. This is cool. Like, sure, okay, they can come back to life, but it doesn't always succeed. Maybe if you get revived at a temple or revived by a dedicated mage who deals with reviving people and went to a revival school and whatever, then you have very high chances. Meanwhile, if you die in the dungeon, there is a chance that a mage on your party might be able to resurrect you, but it's not a given. It's cool because, again, fairly often in and you're here again. In stories like this, there aren't any consequences for dying, because you just resurrect back in the temple above ground, or you can just be revived, or on the contrary, if you die, then you are killed. If you're killed, then you die, or however it went. People die when they are killed. Yeah, you die when you are killed. This finds the balance, right? Death still matters because it's not a given that you might be resurrected, but if your party carries your body above ground and brings you to the temple and whatever, then you will survive. So party wipes are incredibly dangerous. What do you want from me? What do you want from me? Marcille had a nightmare. I would have a nightmare as well if this was my view from the window. Also, Laios taking off his armor and Marcille taking off her robe. Again, something that you don't see often. Most commonly, when a person has certain gear, when a character in anime or manga has certain gear, they never fucking take it off. Not the case here. And also, like, period accurate undergarments. Oh, Dungeon Meshi. Really cool ending. I really like the song. See, you can have fitting music in a show. You don't need to use K-pop. J-pop. You really don't need to use J-pop for openings and endings. You can have something that has actual, like, fantasy medieval vibes. And yeah, everybody has a story. The world has a lot of world building. As you can see, there are all sorts of people, all sorts of characters, looking all sorts of ways. This is great. I really hope that there is like a combined image of those characters. Someone must have combined it. Marcille arriving here on a boat with other elves. It's just good. There's a lot of world building, surprisingly much. It's not just eating monsters. Dungeon Meshi, Dungeon Meshi. Netflix dubbing. There we go. Now it is time to there we go. To take a look at the staff and the cast of this show. Studio Trigger, we already know that. Producers Kadokawa, Ultra Super Pictures, Good Smile Company, Tencent, apparently. Food, Dungeon Magic, Elf, Seinen, Foreign, Monster Girl, primarily adult cast. That's also unique, right? Recommendations, Soson of Riren, 100%. Little Witch Academia, 100%. Tondemo Skill, 100%. Doro, I have no fucking clue why, but apparently. Made in Abyss, haven't seen it, but from what I hear, yeah, sure. Isekai Shokudo, another food anime with fantasy, so checks out. Golden Kamui, they are cooking sometimes as well, and I think that would be it. And yeah, confirmed 2 cores, source, manga, there's also an ONA and another ONA. Let's start with the staff. Let's load everybody first. There we go. Original creator Ryoko Kui. I don't think they... No, they do have some other manga under their belt. I thought they legit just have Dungeon Meshi, but no, there are some others as well. Apparently, director Yoshihiro Miyajima. Yoshihiro Miyajima, who also storyboarded Edge Runners, assistant director and episode director on Dynasian, director on the CM of Dungeon Meshi, mostly episode director for other Trigger shows. This seems to be his first role as a full-on director. Interesting. And so far, he's directing well. Series composition, Kimiko Ueno. Who also did series composition for, let's see, BNA script, not series composition. Carol and Tuesday script, mostly scripts. Yeah, Patrol Luluko, Little Witch Academia, just scripts. And when it comes to composition, Dungeon Meshi, AQ Shonen, and the earliest example would be Chimimo, whatever that is. So basically it seems like the first foray into series composition on an anime that isn't... What the fuck even is that? Teenage boys singing? Yeah, it's a short form anime. I don't know, whatever. Next, character design. Naoki Takeda, who also designed characters, unsurprisingly, for Cyberpunk, Edge Runners. No, actually, no. Animation, dealt with animation. Also animation on Star Wars Visions, Promare, Carol and Tuesday, Gridman. Yeah, mostly... pretty much only animation. Again, his first... or her, his first foray into being a character designer, and it's working really well. Art directors are Sachiko Nishiguchi and Yusuke Nishikimi. Sachiko Nishiguchi is also an background artist for Raiza, mostly background art, art director for Butchigire, art manager, background art director for God of High School, Kemonoji Hen, background art for Review Starlight, Gridman, Tate no Yusha, Made in Abyss. Again, one of their few forays into being an art director. Interesting. Yusuke Nishikimi, Background art, again, mostly background art. Art director for Card Fight, and the rest is just background art. They are really taking people who were responsible for like background art or screenwriting for specific episodes and lifting them up to bigger equivalents of their roles in this show. Interesting. So far it's working really well, so I have nothing against it. It's just very interesting. Editing by Masato Yoshitake, who also did editing for Marcille, however you pronounce it, Gridman, Shingeki no Kyojin, Edge Runners, Chainsaw Man, Gridman, plenty of other shows, Data Bullet, Girls und Panzer, Dynasion, Plunderer, Doro Doro, plenty of other shows. Next we have music by Yasunori Mitsuda. The music at the beginning, chef's kiss, so really good job. Unsurprisingly, music for Tsukito Laika to Nosferatu, a great show by the way, go and watch it, I have a reaction on the channel as well. But besides that, apparently just older shows. Well, Kuroshitsuji, it is a comparatively older show, not many roles in general. Again, someone with not a huge portfolio being brought into the project to just make a whole music for it. Theme song performance for the OP and for the ED. We haven't heard the OP yet, but sure. Bump of Chicken is a rock band, curiously. Theme song for Spy Family. And then nothing else I would recognize. Kekkai Sensen. Okay, I do recognize Kekkai Sensen for sure. One Piece, the movie, apparently as well. And the ED is Ryokushoku Shakai, 4-piece band. And they made the theme song for Kusuria no Hitorigoto and for Boku no Hero Academia 4. And nothing else I recognize. Next we have Script. Yeah, sure, Script. Kimiko Ueno, we already went through her. Let's see. Animation directors. Let's check them out. They have a dedicated person for cooking design. But yeah, animation directors. Naoki Takeda, also Cyberpunk Edge Runners, Star Wars Visions, Key Animation, BNA, Promare, Gridman, Seishin Butayaro, Darling in the Franxx, Punchline, Little Witch Academia, Kill la Kill, Death Parade. Yeah, plenty of good shows with good animation. Yusuke Yoshigaki, similarly, Gridman, Cyberpunk, Dynasion, BNA, Space Patrol, Luluko, Darling in the Franxx, Promare, Kill la Kill, and earlier shows, Panty and Stalking, Korewa Zombie Deska, what else? Sayonara Zetsubo Sensei Rosario to Vampire Key Animation. That's a lot. Cutie Honey. Helsing even. There we go. And also manga, character design for BNA. Emi Tamura, key animation on Kusuria no Hitorigoto. Mostly key animation, but also animation director on Gridman Universe, Mob Psycho. Key Edge Runners, director for a couple of episodes. What else? Darling in the Franxx, BNA, Dynasion, Gridman, Little Witch Academia, Fate Kaleid, Flip Flappers, Kekkai Sensen, Kill la Kill. Fairly prominent roles. Next we have cooking design by Mao Momiji, who just does cooking design for Dungeon Meshi and story and art for some manga. It seems like mostly like cooking manga. Like, look at this cover, and this one is titled Wasabi a la Mode. They knew who to bring onto the team. Monster design, Yuto Kaneko, who also did key animation for other Trigger shows. Again, Promare, BNA, Gridman, Cyberpunk, Hisomaso, Key Animation, Mob Psycho, Little Witch Academia, Kill la Kill, the classics. Next we have... that's a lot of key animators. Sure, let's quickly go through them. Key animators on episode 1. Tetsuya Hasegawa. Again, trigger properties, Gridman, Dionysian, BNA. Also Vinland Saga, also Hisomaso. Darling in the Franxx, Little Witch Academia, Kill la Kill. Monogatari, no, just Nise Monogatari. Madoka Magica, Key Animation, Panty Stocking. Minami Seki, Chainsaw Man, Conan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Dorodoro, Ancient Magus Bride. Would you look at that? One of the OVAs, I believe. Darling in the Franxx, Shigatsu wa Kimi no Uso, Barakamon. Cool anime. I can recommend it. Also, Sekai Seifuku Boukatsu no Zvezda. Also a cool anime. Also can recommend it. And Shingeki no Kyojin. And Grimgar. Kai Ikarashi. Gridman Bocchi the Rock. Key animation on one of the episodes. Edge Runners. Evangelion. Dionysian. BNA. Star Wars Visions. So again, plenty of trigger properties. Promare, Review Starlight, Key Animation, Gridman, Darling in the Franxx, Kill la Kill, Boku no Hero Academia, Little Witch Academia, Kana Yamaguchi, Yamaguchi, Spy Family, Bocchi the Rock, Gridman, Pokemon, apparently, Darling in the Franxx, Little Witch Academia, Gridman, Promare, Spy Family, Hiroki Arai, again, pretty much the same set of trigger properties, plus the odd like Horimiya or whatever here and there, but mostly, yeah, pretty much only just trigger. Besides like this Tenero and Horimiya, and I don't think this one was trigger either. And the Yoshifumi Hagano, again, trigger properties, plus some sort of a Pokemon ONA, I would think. Next, Monster Animation Director, why not? Yuto Kaneko. Also monster design. Okay, so we went through him. Let's see. Producers don't exactly interest me all that much. More key animators. They've been split apparently. But I think they have just all worked on trigger shows, and there's a lot of them, so we're just not gonna go through all of them. Okay, so that covers the staff. And now the Seiyu. Oh, the Seiyu. Oh, Saori Hayami. Let's see. Laios is voiced by Kentaro Kumagai, who also voiced... anybody I would recognize at all? I don't think I recognize anybody, but someone in Noblesse, someone in Dr. Stone, Radiant, Hataraku Saibo, and then just seemingly secondary roles. Yeah, you can see the growth from just mostly secondary roles to more and more prominent characters, all the way to being essentially the MC of his own show. Interesting. Marcille is voiced by Sayaka Senbongi, who also voiced Animalia in Shangri-La Frontier, Crown Slayer in Arc Knights, Ancipia in Tensei Ojo, Kikuri in Bocchi the Rock, Kanagi from Magia Records. Does she even have a spoken role? Can't recall that, to be honest. Someone from Pokemon, Haru from Beastars, more Haru, the Glaceon, and plenty of other characters, plenty of roles. Next we have Senshi, voiced by Hiroshi Naka, who also voiced old men, unsurprisingly. None of whom I would recognize, I'm afraid. Oh, someone from Tact of Destiny, apparently. Zarude from Pokemon. One Piece Pokemon. Shingeki no Kyojin. More One Piece. Magi. Or Magi, however you pronounce it. Doc from Hellsing. And some other shows not entirely familiar to me, all the way going into the 1988 with his first role. Then we have Chilchuck, voiced by Asuna Tomari, who also voiced... What? Stardust in Shy? Is the same voice actor? And Gopta? In... Okay. That's quite a range. Quite a range. Wait, really? Really? Stardust? What? Jesus Christ. Holy shit. Then we have Falin, voiced by Saori Hayami, the voice of Visha from Yojo Senki, of course. Also the voice of... Shy second season already announced. Good shit. Also the voice of Your Forger. The voice of the one from Kakegurui, whose name I can't remember. Uzaki, Tsuki Uzaki. Yeah, plenty of roles. I would recognize her voice anywhere, but I guess Falin didn't have that many spoken roles, so that explains why I didn't. And characters we haven't met. We've met the narrator, so why not Satoshi Mikami, who also voices Olcott in Witch from Mercury, someone in 86, Durarara, Kekai Sensen, someone who I don't remember, Rosen Maiden, La Place No Ma, and let's take a look at the other characters who haven't been... I mean, we've seen Shuro in the background, and we've seen Namari in the background. Shuro is voiced by Shinji Kawada, who also voiced nobody I would recognize. Someone in Tokyo Ghoul, someone in Boruto. Again, series that I've heard of, but I haven't seen. Peter Parker in Discourse Avengers, whatever that is. And also some other people who, again, I just do not recognize, and neither do I recognize the shows. Alright. And Akira Miki, the voice of Namari, also the voice of Prudr in Shimatsu no Valkyrie. Not many roles, surprisingly few. Then we have Kabru, Rinsha, Holmkranom, Migbel Thomas, Kuro, Diamond of Sadena, and Meikyu Shoshishita. Meikyu Shoshinsha. Okay. Wataru Kato as Kabru, and also Rentaro in 100 Girlfriends, also Toka in Yushaga Shinda. Not many other roles. Rie Takahashi, the voice of Megumin, but wait, in Dungeon Meshi she is the voice of... where is she? Rinsha, also the voice of Emilia from ReZero, Megumin Ena from Yuru Camp, Ai Hoshino from Oshinoko, Ririha from Oyuki Yumi no Kaina. I still have to watch the movie. Also, yeah, more Megumin, more Ririha, Tomo Aizawa, Takagi-san, and plenty of other roles. Mostly Megumin and Emilia. Yeah, mostly Megumin and Emilia. Then we have Yuya Hirose voicing Holm, and also voicing someone in Gridman, and plenty of other characters that I just plain don't recognize from show. Oh, Klein from Yojo Senki, but I mean, it's a background role, background character, so no wonder. Miyu Tomita voicing Migbel, and also voicing Helga from Majo to Yaju, sorry. Bilach from Shangri-La Frontier. Also Haro from Witch from Mercury. Chuchu from the very same show. And Rico from Made in Abyss. And plenty of other characters. Ebisu in Dorodoro. Otako from Oshiete Galko-chan. Gabriel in Gabriel Dropout. Toru Nara, voice of Kuro. And also the voice of people I don't recognize from shows I do recognize. I mean, I recognize JoJo, I recognize Boku no Hero Academia. I just haven't seen them. Matsumura in Dorodoro. That one I do recognize. And other characters unknown to me. Someone in Butum. Been a while since I've seen Butum. Okay. Kei Kawamura, the voice of Diamond of Sedena and Diamond of Sedena. Nobody else. And Shunichi Maki, the voice of Meikyu Shoshinsha. Meikyu Shoshinsha, that would be Dungeon Master? In translation? Something like that, I think. Also voice of Accessories Merchant from Tate no Yusha. Colosseum Kanyaku from the very same show. And mostly just background characters without even any art to them, right? Buin C. And yeah, secondary, tertiary characters. Kaijali in Overlord 3, Davernok in Overlord 2. And yeah, that covers the stuff and the say you. There we go. Really good show so far. Again, the manga is amazing, the story is amazing, the world building is amazing, so I wasn't scared about that for a moment. And also, it's made by Trigger, so I wasn't scared about the quality either, so I cannot say I was scared about anything in this adaptation. It was just destined for success from grounds up. It's a pretty damn faithful manga adaptation, all the way to very special and close to every fan of Dungeon Meshi faces, all the way to the explanation of how monsters work. We're not glossing over anything, we're not skipping anything. It's just a really good adaptation. And the fact that it's gonna be 24 episodes, that it's gonna be a double core, it just couldn't get any better. It just couldn't get any better. Out of curiosity, English VAs, do I know anybody? No, the fuck I don't. ProZD, or whatever the fuck his name is, the fucking YouTuber is voicing Senshi in English. Alright, sure. And Mick Lauer, I think I've just seen him on Twitter, but apparently he's also a voice actor. Okay, so we have YouTubers voicing characters now. Great. That's why I don't watch any dubs. Regardless, as I said, really good show. Very, very similar, but also very dissimilar from other Trigger shows at the same time. I really find it fascinating how it's a much more normal show than the usual Trigger fare. even just plain arts-wise, but at the same time you can clearly see those triggerisms in animations, in action faces, action poses, stuff like that. It's cool. It's really interesting how a show can be so trigger and so not trigger at the same time. That, hey, they made it. They made it. They didn't make another Kill la Kill. They didn't even make another Little Witch Academia. The art style is even more tame than in Little Witch Academia, but those triggerisms are shining through. Also, correct me if I'm wrong, but would it be the first adaptation of a manga / light novel that Trigger made? I don't recall any other adaptations. I mean, I guess Dynasian and Gridman are kind of sort of adaptations, right? Let's see. Oh, well, Star Wars Visions. No, I think that was also original stories. It wasn't based on any comics or anything. Promare is an anime original, I know that. Darling in the Franxx, anime original. Gridman. So, no, it's also original. I think it's just based on some, live action show, I think. Kisnaver, that's also anime original. Yeah, I think this is legit the first adaptation of theirs. Again, correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Interesting to see where Trigger is going. And apparently we also have Inferno Cop Season 2 and another season of Pantheon Stalking. We know that have been announced. Shit's good. I was afraid that I'm not going to be able to say much, that I'm not going to be able to talk much because I've read the manga, but there is still a lot to talk about. I mean, shit, this video is over an hour and a half now, so I guess we should just stop it here. I should just stop recording, right? It's been long enough, and I don't have much more to add. So, maybe you guys do have, though, something more to add. If so, say so in the comments down below. What did you think of this episode, of my reaction, my theories? If I had any, say all of that in the comments. What did you think about the manga if you read it? I know, how do you like the adaptation? Stuff like that. No spoilers, though. No spoilers from the manga. You might have read it, I might have read it, but other people watching this reaction might not have, so let's not spoil the fun for them. If you do want to talk spoilers, though, my Discord is of course open to everybody willing to join, and there's gonna be a Dungeon Meshi channel where you can talk all about Dungeon Meshi to your heart's content. Like this video if you liked it, subscribe to be notified of future releases of not only Dungeon Meshi but also Magia Record, Shangri-La Frontier, Soso no Frieren, other shows coming this season. And I also stream sometimes, so click the bell to be notified when I go live. Support the channel if you want monetarily on Patreon or YouTube, linked down below. On Patreon, for $10 a month, you get early access to non-seasonal shows like Magia Record, and for just $1, you get a role on the Discord and a place in the credits. And on YouTube, you can also support me directly without going to any third-party websites via memberships, super thanks, super chats, stuff like that. All of that down below. And if you don't want to spend any money, you don't have to. Share my content, spread the word. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that, and it helps the channel a lot. Over 5% of traffic to my channel comes from Reddit, comes from you guys sharing links on Reddit. So continue doing that, please. And yeah, I think that's gonna be it from me for today. So as always, you guys do all the good stuff, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Cheers! And here's my wonderful Patreons: QB, Without a Net, The Cup Survivor, Zayrainer, Akumaster, Dr. Watt, Marsh, UK Ally, Fassel, and Hans Peter. And you can join them without having to eat any monsters, although you probably want to because they're tasty.